Welcome to The Explainer. Right now in the Philippines, a massive political storm is brewing. We're talking about billions in stolen funds, a small-town mayor who might actually be a foreign spy, and a power struggle that's ripping the government apart. It's a lot. So today, we're going to try and untangle this whole mess. Someone wrote something recently that just hits the nail on the head. They said all this chaos is basically the modern version of the old Roman circuses, just one giant spectacle to distract everyone from the real problems. And it really makes you wonder, a distraction from what?
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at why the nation's on edge. Then, we'll dig into the scandals themselves, see the political power plays at work, check in on the public's reaction, and finally, look at the system that makes it all possible.
So let's start with the big picture. The Philippines is caught in what feels like a perfect storm. It's not just one crisis, it's a whole bunch of them hitting all at once. We're talking huge fraud, a mayor with a mysterious identity, and millions in public funds that have just vanished. To really get what's going on, we have to look at the scandals one by one. There are really three major threads that are causing all this uproar, and we need to pull them apart to see how they connect. Okay, so you've got two huge stories blowing up at the same time. On one hand, you have this massive flood control mess, billions of pesos that were supposed to save lives from disasters just gone. And then you have this other story that sounds like it's straight out of a spy movie, a mayor named Alice Guo, where nobody's even sure who she really is. At the center of this infrastructure scandal is this idea of ghost projects, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. We're not talking about a bridge that was built poorly. We're talking about a bridge that was paid for, marked complete on paper, but it doesn't actually exist. It was never built. It's pure theft on a massive scale. And the amount of money we're talking about is just staggering. Over 500 billion pesos. That's for nearly 10,000 projects in just under 3 years. And remember, this money was supposed to be for protecting people in one of the most vulnerable places on Earth for climate disasters. This was critical stuff. So you're probably wondering, how do you even move that much cash? Well, a whistleblower came forward with a pretty chilling term for it. Basura. That's the Filipino word for trash. He testified that he would literally deliver luggage packed with cash, like up to 50 million pesos per bag, as kickbacks. Just incredible. Okay, so while all this financial scandal is going on, this other story starts to bubble up. And honestly, this one might be even weirder. It's all about Alice Guo, the mayor of Bamban. And the big question everyone's asking is, who is she really? Get this, the allegations are wild. She's suspected of being a Chinese agent with a totally fake Filipino identity. She's accused of protecting a massive illegal online gambling hub, a POGO, that was operating right near her office. And when they raided that place, they found victims of human trafficking. They even found a vehicle registered in her name and an electricity bill for the compound with her name on it. The connections are just right there. And if you thought things couldn't get any more bizarre, well, buckle up. Because during hearings about the vice president's confidential funds, a third scandal popped up. And this one revolves around a name that, well, it sounds like something you'd find in the snack aisle. Yep, the name is Mary Grace Piatos. And this name was on thousands of receipts that were used to explain where 612.5 million pesos in confidential funds went. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Mary Grace is a popular cafe chain, and Piatos are a brand of potato chips. So, yeah. But it's not just a funny name. This is serious. The government's own statistics agency, the PSA, did a formal search. The result? They found no record of this person. No birth certificate, no marriage license, nothing. It seems Mary Grace Piatos doesn't exist. She's a ghost. All right, let's zoom out a bit. These scandals aren't just about crime. They're also being used as weapons in a huge political battle. We're seeing the country's two most powerful political families, the Marcoses and the Dutertes, using all of this to go after each other. And it's really showing the cracks in their ruling alliance. And it's pretty interesting to see how the politicians are reacting. If you look at the legislature, you see a clear split. The senators are out there, talking tough, trying to look like they're fighting for the people. But in the House of Representatives, it's all about due process. And a lot of people see that as code for, let's slow this down and protect our friends. So with all these details coming out, you can bet the public was furious. The anger spilled out from online forums and social media right onto the streets. People had had enough. We saw major protests like the Trillion Peso March. People were fed up. And they weren't just holding signs. They were filing impeachment complaints and demanding that top officials step down. They wanted real consequences. And we have to remember, this isn't just political theater. There are real victims here. That money that was stolen for flood control, that means someone's home gets washed away, or worse. Those criminal hubs being protected by officials, that means real people are being trafficked. And when people stand up and protest, they're facing arrests and, in some alleged cases, even torture. The human cost is just devastating. So all of this brings us to the biggest question of all. Are we just looking at a few bad apples here? Or is there something fundamentally broken with the entire system? Is corruption a bug, or is it a feature? Well, one analysis puts it pretty bluntly. It says that the very programs created to help the Philippines deal with climate change have been turned into a machine for corruption. So how does it work? Well, experts have basically mapped out this system of plunder. It starts with the budget. You take a good cause like flood control and you pump up the funding way beyond what's needed. Then politicians secretly insert their own pet projects. Step 3, the bidding process for these projects is rigged so only their buddies can win. And finally, the kickbacks, that basura cash, gets passed all the way back up the line. It's a well-oiled machine. And that really is the central challenge, isn't it? It leaves us with this really tough question. How can you ever have true accountability when the system that's designed to protect corruption seems just as powerful, if not more powerful, than the system that's supposed to deliver justice?